The first reports are out for the US domestic Thursday night advanced screenings money for Endgame, and they're reporting $60 million. So the previous record was $57 million held by The Force Awakens. That has been beaten. Endgame is now the largest film so far after, I guess, negative 1 days. It's not had a full day yet, but $60 million so far at this initial stage. Now, that seems a bit like a round number, so I think it's still an estimate. It could be a little bit under that or maybe even more above that. If we put inflation on the $57 million record Force Awakens has, it's about $59 million. So even with inflation, this is the new record holder. Endgame is the film with the most advanced screening money in history. That's the first record down. I did say it'll break all of the opening weekend records, and that is the first one all completed. The Friday numbers for China are also out. These may be adjusted up slightly. They generally have went up a little bit across the next day, so there may be a few $1 million missing. But at this stage, they're reporting $215.9 million from China. So that's for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and it'll probably be a few $1 million more than that. And there are around $151 million reported so far from other countries. There's still a few countries to go, but most of the major countries have reported in. But this is probably their opening day money, not 2 days worth of money. So some may be 2. In fact, I believe the Australian figure there, because it was 7 million before, and now it's 13.9, that is 2 days worth. So that is Wednesday and Thursday for Australia. So some of these numbers may be up to date for Thursday, some are only update for Wednesday, but there's $151 million from other countries, and so if we add in the money that we have for China, that gives a total foreign gross so far of $366 million before Saturday even begins, and this probably doesn't count a lot of Friday money. So this is $366 million, missing probably a lot of Friday, nothing to do with Saturday yet. So if we take a look at the foreign opening records, which are not inflation adjusted on Box Office Mojo, the 366 million puts us at number 3 already. So before Saturday, before Sunday, probably missing a lot of Friday money, also missing a lot of smaller countries' money. So there's a heap of extra money to go into this 366 million so far. We're just behind the Avengers Infinity War. So Avengers Infinity War got $382 million in its opening record. We're already on 366. We're going to absolutely obliterate the foreign record for Avengers Infinity War. We're going to obliterate the actual record holder, number 1, Fate of the Furious. Massive, massive records. Big money for Avengers Endgame. And so for the world amount, that is the US money plus the foreign money, we've got the $60 million from the US so far. That gives us $426 million so far for the worldwide open for Endgame. And if we take a look at Box Office Mojo at the worldwide records, we can see that $426 million is just above Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, $422.5. So right now, before Saturday, before Sunday, before a lot of Friday money is not counted, and there's some Thursday money missing as well, we are the 8th biggest opening right now for Avengers Endgame. So absolutely massive money. We can see number 1 there on the list, $640 million. I've said it should get 850 if the film does nothing special. It's doing something special right now. It is breaking everything right now. The US money, the $60 million, is not quite as much as I thought it might be, but it is the record holder. So it beat the $57 million that The Force Awakens got, but the Infinity War got $39 million. Okay, so Infinity War is $39 million. This is $60 million. So this is where we're at right now. Now, there is some bad news to go along with all this money. All of this, or a lot of this, might just be front-loaded. So just because Thursday night is absolutely massive in the US markets, it doesn't mean that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday will also be as massive. It may just be that a lot of people want to see it at the very earliest possible, and so Sunday and Saturday may be a lot smaller compared to the Thursday and the Friday, but obviously we will have to wait and see what the actual numbers are. But at this stage, absolutely massive stuff. I said in my previous 2 videos, we're still on track to get $1 billion. There's nothing really stopping us from saying we can get there yet. The $60 million Thursday night advanced screening money, that puts us on track for the $1 billion still. So can it get $1 billion? Certainly can. Will it? We will have to wait and see. It's such a ridiculous amount of money over the 640. It's just hard to say that it will happen. It definitely can still happen. Everything it needs so far is happening. It's breaking all the records so far, and it's on top of basically everything at this stage. Absolutely massive amount of money. $426 million before we get the Friday from the US, and before we get the Friday from a lot of countries, and before we get the Saturday and the Sunday from everyone. So it should get more than double the amount of money it has at this point in time. There's no reason it shouldn't get more than twice the amount of money right now. And if it does only get twice the money right now, we're looking at $850 million. So $850 million absolutely smashed the 640, and it really should get way over that. So we will, again, have to wait and see what happens for the Friday, the Saturday, and the Sunday. It may just be that the Thursday and internationally the Wednesdays were really just preloaded with people wanting to see it really early. That is a possibility. It could just be that everyone saw it very early. The theaters were available for it. They've got an unprecedented number of screens available right now, so everybody could see it. I think AMC announced that they're running the film constantly for 72 hours. So all of the AMC theaters in North America, they got 72 hours running straight. Every 3.5 hours, they're plunking on another viewing of Endgame, and this is where we're at. So they're making it available for everyone to see. A lot of people are seeing it, but does that simply mean everyone's going to have already seen it before Saturday rocks up? So we could be looking at a massive drop on Saturday. I'm in no way saying we will, but this is just a little possibility to just keep in the back of our mind. So the numbers so far are massive, but that could just be that everybody is seeing it really quickly. Carrie Fisher, rest in peace, had a saying, instant gratification isn't soon enough. And that's where we are as a society right now. Everybody wants to see the film straight away. Is that going to impact who's going to see the film on Saturday, who's going to see the film on a Sunday? Now, the good news is a lot of the reviews and a lot of the surveys that have come out so far, particularly from North America, are saying that up to a third of the people surveyed said they will see the film again in the movies. Now, whether they're lying or not, who knows, and whether it's just euphoria after their first screening, but right now a third of the people are saying they'll come back. So I'm not saying a third will, but that's what the reports are. So that sounds like an exceptional report. So we may get a lot of repeat business, and this may just be the start of a massive amount of money. But we really can't predict what will happen over the next coming weeks just because of the opening weekend. The opening weekend is just based on the hype of the film, not the quality of the film, and this film has got some serious hype behind it. Now here's the chart that I'll be keeping a track of to see how we go. We've got a couple of films on here. We have Star Wars Episode 7 The Force Awakens, we have Avatar, we have Avengers Infinity War, we have Jurassic World, we have Star Wars Episode 8 The Last Jedi, and we have Avengers Endgame. Now Avengers Endgame is in the light blue or the teal color. You can see it if you look hard, but it's hard to see. It's tight in there. Okay, all the films basically have the same money so far. There is some more and some less, but for the first day, for the first Thursday, if you like, it's tight in there. It's very tight in there, and there's not really much in it at all. So Avengers Endgame is in front. It's in front of all of these films at this point in time. It's obviously in front of Avatar. Avatar just is a completely different story. It's not tracking the way the other one's tracked. But these are the North American box office grosses for these 6 films here, not including inflation. There is no inflation here at all, and so far Avengers Endgame is in front of all of them. And if we look at the raw numbers, we have 4 films here: The Force Awakens, Infinity War, Jurassic World, and The Last Jedi. The yellow highlighted section near the top of each of these are what their advanced screening monies were. The Force Awakens, as you can see, they're $57 million, so we've got $60 million for Endgame, $59 million for Infinity War, so absolutely smashing Infinity War right now in every single way. Jurassic World, $18.5 million, no real competition there. And The Last Jedi, $45 million, absolutely in front of that right now. So really couldn't be any better news other than it could have been even higher than 60 million. The 60 million again sounds like a rounded off figure, so it's probably a bit above or a bit below that, but it's beating The Force Awakens right now. The official one-day record is the Force Awakens Friday record, which is all of the money from Thursday and Friday. And it earned $62.1 million on Friday, and it earned $57 million on Thursday, for a total of $119 million. So the official record for the biggest day ever is $119 million for the opening Friday for The Force Awakens. Again, that includes its Thursday money. So right now we have $60 million for Endgame. So Endgame needs to get something like $59 million on Friday, the actual real Friday amount, $59 million, to break the record. So it has to actually earn less money on the Friday than it earned before the Friday to get the record Friday open, as dumb as that sounds, because the Friday open is actually all the money earned up until the end of Friday, not actually just Friday itself. So if you just look at these other films, and we're really in uncharted territory here, so using other films as a baseline is difficult because we have a new record, so it's very difficult to look at anything else. But if we do look at each of these, the amount of money that each of these films got on their opening Thursday was surpassed on the Friday. Okay, there's no film here that did better on the Thursday than on the Friday. The Fridays were all better than the Thursday. The closest one was The Force Awakens. It got $57 million on the Thursday, and then $62 million on the Friday. And so Again, Endgame has got $60 million at this point in time. This may, jiggle around a little bit, a few $1 million up or down. $60 million for Thursday. It needs, basically a little bit under what The Force Awakens got on Friday to beat the record. So I think it will beat that record. That'll be record number 2 that it beats. And then we're on to what it gets for the actual weekend. Will it beat the foreign record, which right now it looks like it will absolutely shatter that? Will it beat the worldwide record? Right now it looks like it'll absolutely shatter that. Will it beat the US domestic record? It is on track to do it with a starting $60 million. That's good. But it's still unclear, can it beat the US domestic record, which is either $257 million that Infinity War got, or $259 million that The Force Awakens got with inflation. I think it'll smash that as well, but that's really the only record we're waiting on. The other 2 aren't broken yet, but they will. The other 3 aren't broken yet. They will be. Okay, I can't really see that they won't be, but can it beat $259 million to beat the inflation-adjusted Force Awakens total? Yes, I think it can. That's really all we're waiting on now. And obviously the other question is, can we break $1 billion for the opening weekend? Everything's on track for it right now. It's looking like it's definitely going to be up there. But when we're dealing with this kind of money, it could be out by $200 million. It could get $800 million, which I think it'll get a lot more than $800 million. But $800 million even shatters the record so much. So $200 million is a lot of room to say it could be plus or minus $200 million. But we're just in uncharted territory. But $1 billion right now still could happen, still be on the cards. We'll have to see what tomorrow's box office brings, and we'll have to also see what kind of adjustments these figures get. So these are being reported very early, so they're still partially suspicious. We've got a lot of wiggle room with these. The numbers are being reported very, very, very early. Disney's pushing it out. They want to get all the hype up. All these numbers are coming very quickly. Now, having said that, the international numbers are slow. China's coming up fairly quickly. Everyone else is really slow, so we don't really know exactly where we're at internationally. Other than the reports we have are excellent, and all the anecdotal evidence is excellent. So we'll have to see if it really turns out to be very good. But it sounds like a lot of countries broke their opening day record with Endgame. About 5 or 6 so far, I think, have reported that Endgame is the new record holder. So everything is looking absolutely huge for Endgame's box office. Now, the number of articles I saw yesterday have completely picked up, talking about Endgame is going to be the biggest film ever. It's going to beat Avatar. This is what people were talking about when the advanced ticket sale numbers were first released probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, and then that died down a lot. That talks back, okay? I think it's still very premature to talk about the actual total gross. The opening weekend really doesn't have a lot to do with the total gross. Obviously, a massive total weekend means it's going to get a massive total, but Avatar is still a ridiculous amount of money, whether you want to go inflation or not inflation. You're talking $2.7 billion or $3.2 billion. That's still a ridiculous amount of money. So we really need to wait a little bit longer to see if this is on track. Yes, everything here is massive right now, but the way that modern films run are, you get a lot of money in the first week, and then it dies down a lot more. Whereas Avatar 10 years ago is really the opposite. Avatar had sort of okay money, and then the okay money kept happening. And so comparing this to Avatar, I think, is still unfair. But the news couldn't be better to beat Avatar right now, okay? If it's going to beat Avatar, this is what you want to see. You don't want to see a lackluster opening weekend. This is breaking all records. So yeah, it's good news, but just because you get a massive opening weekend doesn't mean you can pull $3 billion in. But if you are going to pull $3 billion in, getting $1 billion in your first weekend is a pretty good start. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.